Okay, hi everyone. So this is going to be a short video talking through the installation process for PetThermoTools, and more specifically alphaMELTS with Python if you're a Windows user. This is going to be very, very similar to the video that's already out there for Mac users. Pretty much with Windows, you just get to skip one step, so it's a little bit easier. So the first thing you need to do if you're new to Python completely is install Python on your machine. This is easiest done through Anaconda. Once you've got that done, and you're happy kind of opening and running Jupyter notebooks, what you need to do is you need to come over to our read the docs page as shown here, onto this bit, installation of alphaMELTS for Python. In this thing here, you'll see this notebook that I put together that takes you through, walks you through the different installation steps that you need to follow in order to install alphaMELTS and PetThermoTools on your machine. What you actually want to do though, rather than copying out that you could Control-C, Control-V, take everything out of these things, copy it into your own Jupyter notebook, that's not the easiest way to do it. What we want you to do in order to actually install this stuff on your machine is just go up to the top here, either click on this link here, which will take you through to this GitHub page, and you can just hit this download raw file button over here to download the notebook we've put together. Or if you want to have a bit more control over where you're saving it, if you click on View in MB Viewer here, it will open up a second page. And then what you want to do is right click on this button over here where it says Download Notebook. Don't left click, right click, it's a little bit weird. Right click on it and you can hit Save Link As. And this will allow you to save it anywhere in your file system that you want to do. Now I've done it, I'm stealing Penny's laptop for this because I don't have Windows. I'm saving it in a MELTS installation folder I put together here. Okay. So I'm just going to save this installation script as a Jupyter notebook, save it in that folder. That's all you need to do in order to get this onto your machine. What you then want to do is you want to come into whatever program you're using to actually run Jupyter notebooks. This might be Jupyter Lab. For me, it's Visual Studio Code. Okay, so here I am in Visual Studio Code, and I can now see the file that I just downloaded. So I'm going to open that up. And it's going to open up in here. Okay. Now, in terms of installing alphaMELTS with Python, the step 0, what I actually put first in here, and this is actually a bit of a change since I did the Mac installation video, but it's also the same for Mac users as well now. You only need to worry about this step 0 if you've already been using PetThermoTools and alphaMELTS with Python. This is something that's quite good to go back to periodically and rerun this next cell here, the update alphaMELTS path, just to make sure that after you've upgraded PetThermoTools, which will happen every now and then as I push new releases, this update alphaMELTS path will check that your alphaMELTS version is the latest compatible version with PetThermoTools. Okay. I would generally post an announcement on the Discord page when this is necessary, so my advice is join our Discord, and you'll be able to find out when you need to run this function. But if you're just installing it for the first time, don't worry about this, not an issue at all. Move on to step 1. And step 1, as I've already mentioned, is install Python. Easiest done through Anaconda, and then through Anaconda you can open up Jupyter Lab and you can run notebooks as I'm doing here. This is Visual Studio Code, it will look a little bit different, but essentially works in the same way. Okay, and the first real thing that you need to do is install PetThermoTools. So this is my code, the code that I've written to kind of like package up or wrap the alphaMELTS or Python source code. And if you're doing this for the very first time, you just want to come to this cell here and hit Control Enter, Control Return. And this will install PetThermoTools onto your machine. In this video, I'm going to do it a little bit differently because I already have PetThermoTools on this computer. I'm actually going to upgrade PetThermoTools to make sure I'm at the latest version in this case. Okay. So I'm going to hit Control Return, make sure we're using the correct Python environment. So use our base environment here. That's probably something you won't have to worry about if you're a relatively new Python user, so I won't stress too much about that. And it's going to upgrade PetThermoTools in this case to the latest version. Once again, if you're doing this for the first time, Control and backslash to comment or uncomment. You want to run this line and comment this line. If you're doing this after you've used PetThermoTools for some time, comment the standard installation line, uncomment the upgrade line. Okay. And it'll print this message checking it's got all the requirements satisfied, uninstall the previous version that Penny had on this laptop, and I'll install the latest version 0.3.5, which I just pushed as of the 5th of January. And that should run absolutely fine. There shouldn't be any reason, hopefully, why it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, if it prints some error and seemingly just doesn't complete, email me, send me a screenshot. We should be able to get to the bottom of it pretty quickly. What you can do then, though, is just scroll down. So assuming that's worked nicely, we can scroll down to step 3. And this is the only point where the installation instructions for Windows and Mac users really diverge. If you're using a Mac, go over to the installation video I made for Mac users. And at this point, you're going to have to do a few extra steps. Okay. If you're a Windows user, don't worry about anything in here. Okay, don't worry about anything in here. You can just continue straight down to this cell down here where we start to talk about what we're doing next. And so what we're going to do in this following cell is we're going to actually, firstly, we're going to import PetThermoTools into our Python environment. Okay, so we're going to import PetThermoTools as PTT. This is going to look for files on the Python path. Okay, it's going to ask the question, are the alphaMELTS for Python files on the Python path? Can I find the alphaMELTS for Python files that I need to actually run the calculations? Now, for most of you, when you're first doing this, the answer is going to be no, right? You haven't installed, you haven't located these yet, you haven't got them on your machine, so it's going to print this message saying you need to add the files to your Python path. And one way to do this is to download them manually and then use the code below here where you import sys, use sys.path.append, and you import in this bit here the path to where you've put the alphaMELTS for Python files on your machine. You can do that, I don't recommend doing it. Okay. What I recommend doing instead is continuing to scroll down through here. And in this next bit here, we see this ptt.install alphaMELTS. Okay. And in this cell here, what it's going to do is it is going to search online for the latest release of alphaMELTS. It's going to find the Python version that is appropriate, that is consistent with your machine. So it's going to find the Windows release of alphaMELTS for Python. It's going to download those files. It's going to store them on your system. In this case, it will store them in this folder, in the MELTS installation folder, the same location you have the installation script. So it makes sense, it's logical to keep or store this installation script in somewhere logical on your computer. If you want to put the MELTS files somewhere else, you can use this file location keyword argument here, and you can put in where exactly you want to put the alphaMELTS files. I personally don't recommend doing that. I personally recommend just making sure the installation script is in a sensible place and then just running this function as is. Okay. So you can see here, I'll hover over it, you can see the default arguments, the version 2.3.1. So that's the kind of default alphaMELTS for Python version that it's going to search for, download, extract, and store on your computer. The final thing it's going to do is going to add these files to the Python path. Now, this might not work for everyone. Okay, this is where this like admin equals true argument comes in, as you can see in here. I recommend just leaving it like this. Okay, if you don't have administrative privileges, it will print a message telling you what you need to do next. And basically, if you don't have administrative privileges, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start every notebook where you're using PetThermoTools with these 2 lines. You're going to have to manually append the path to the MELTS files at the start of every notebook where you're using PetThermoTools. This is what we use using PetThermoTools for quite a long time. It's not an issue at all. It adds a little bit of work here and there. For most of you though, you probably will have administrative privileges on your computer, and so this installation process will work completely and the files will be added to your Python path, meaning that whenever you open a Jupyter notebook in this Python environment, it will know where to look to find the MELTS files. Okay. So all that you need to do, don't need to worry about anything else I've just said. What you need to do is hit Control Enter once again here. It will download the alphaMELTS files from this GitHub link. It's going to extract them into this location here, okay, and it will add them permanently to the Python path. Okay. What we need to do now is we can just check that it's downloaded properly. If it's downloaded properly and it's on the Python path, MELTS will know where to look to find the MELTS dynamic file. Okay, so we can once again hit Control and return on this cell. And it will print that we're in version 2.3.1 beta. This is correct. This is what we actually want to see. Okay. It's actually version 2.3.1, the beta. It's just a little add-on. It is the true version 2.3.1. Don't worry about that. And that's all the installation there is. Okay, that's complete installation. The only thing I would suggest doing is scrolling down to this step 4. Restart your Python kernel. So whether you're using Visual Studio Code or Jupyter Notebook, you should see this restart button. Hit a restart button, and that will then import PetThermoTools again. And this time you'll notice that message saying we can't find the alphaMELTS or Python files. I'll scroll back up to it. Please add these files to the path. You'll notice that message didn't appear this time. That's because with the installation process we had, it already knows where those files are. We can then run, and we usually for PetThermoTools use the 3 letters PTT in this import function. So we can then run a very simple fractional crystallization calculation. So ptt.test_alphaMELTS, and this will just run a test calculation. And if the installation has worked correctly, this will run a very simple calculation. You'll already see the kind of output files printing in the file structure, and only 7 seconds later we have our kind of fractional crystallization calculation. What's actually being presented here is the composition of the liquid during that crystallization calculation. Okay. And once that's printed, that confirms that the installation is complete and that you're able to use PetThermoTools to run MELTS calculations on your machine. That's really all there is to it at this point. It's a very simple installation process, but the most important thing is if you do have any issues, please let me know. Please send me an email, message me on Discord, send me a screenshot of what went wrong so we can diagnose and fix whatever problem came across. Thanks a lot.